This is episode 58 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. This is our last offseason episode, guys. We're going to be back with you on Saturday to preview all of the week one action ahead of the Bengals and Browns openers. But this week, this episode, we're going to shore up the last little bits of news that we need to go over, and we're going to go back over our season predictions for the 2021 season real quick so that we're all clear on what the expectations are and where everyone kind of stands on where they think the teams are going to finish. And we're not going to be breaking them down like we did about a month ago. Like, we're not going to break down the schedules again, but we're going to kind of go back over and be like, well, this is what I think is going to happen. And, then we'll get to laugh at the end of the season at, all the wrong decisions that we made. Finally, the Steelers are dealing with another contract dispute. Because why, Thomas?
Because they still suck.
Because the Steelers still suck. That's right.
Just short, simple, straight to the point. Y'all suck, Pittsburgh.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
By the way, let me run and grab something like in 2 seconds. You go ahead and keep talking. Give me like 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, I was actually I was going to ask you what you're drinking tonight, although I can't
hear you.
Thomas mentioned that he just got back from vacation. He did a lot of drinking while he was on vacation. So I believe he said that he's not going to be drinking much tonight at all. But me, I'm not doing
contraire. I'm going to be drinking a Coke today.
I was going to be drinking a Coke. Well, there you go. So he's drinking something. I'm going to be drinking another one of these Hofbrau Luncheon things. I've had it on the podcast a couple of times recently just because I bought a 6-pack and I need to finish them. But the interesting part is I'm drinking it out of this cool mug that I bought at the Renaissance Fair this weekend. Got like a picture of a boar on it, like red and black. I like it.
That's pretty cool.
Makes me feel like a fucking Viking.
Pretty damn
Even though
cool.
I'm pretty sure it's Celtic, not Norse, but Point being, cool thing to drink beer out of. So that's what I'm gonna be doing.
All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into these teams. The first thing I wanted to talk about with the Bengals this week is the team captains were announced. Like all the teams' captains were announced. Did you see who was announced as the Browns team captains, Thomas?
No, you go ahead and elaborate.
Well, I didn't see who was announced as the Browns captains. I wasn't really
I thought you
doing that kind of research.
I would guess Myles Garrett is probably one, and Baker Mayfield is probably the other. But let's see, captain for Cleveland Browns. And probably Denzel Ward, probably another one. Myles Garrett's named captain for. Oh wait, hold on. That was January 1st, 2021.
Yeah, that's a little different.
It's a little bit old news. All right. Team captains name for Browns. I don't see the Browns team captains for this week.
Okay, I maybe not all teams have released them, but I know the Bengals have, and I know the Bengals aren't the only ones to have. But the Bengals, there aren't really any big surprises here. It's some of the team captains from last year. Last year was big news that Joe Burrow was a team captain as a rookie. This year, it's not so much a big deal that he's a team captain because he's Joe fucking Burrow. Notably, Joe Mixon, Jesse Bates, Sam Hubbard, and Tyler Boyd are all captains this year and weren't last year. But again, those aren't really big surprises because we're talking about the big, outspoken guys in the locker room who are, at this point, these are the veterans. These are the guys who are, like I said, the outspoken members, the guys who are, bringing people along. Joe Mixon, Jesse Bates, Sam Hubbard, Tyler Boyd. Those are all guys that you are constantly hearing, talking about what the Bengals are doing and why you should be excited about the Bengals this year. And these are the rah-rah guys, basically. So the fact that, they're getting their time to shine as team captains is not surprising to me in any way, shape, or form. The other Bengals. Oh, you had a comment.
No, I'm really trying to. I'm looking hard. I'm looking hard right now.
He's trying to help us out, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, like, well, it's funny is that last year, Kevin Stanley was hesitant on naming team captains at all. The real thing. I was reading an article from last year. I'm like, oh, so I mean, like, so let's see. I mean, let me just do some research, y'all. Let me do some hard research.
Okay. All right. Well, while Thomas is doing that research, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next little bit of Bengals news to talk about here, which is Mike Daniels, after being cut as part of the final roster cutdowns. He's actually back now in Cincinnati on the practice squad, which, as you guys know, or some of you may not know, but if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that the practice squad is, expanded this year. And they started expanding it to 16 players, and 6 of which can be veterans this last year, and it continued those rules for this year. So Mike Daniels is getting one of those 6 veteran spots on the practice squad. And I kind of figured that would happen because, after they really added to the defensive tackle room this offseason. They added, in addition to getting DJ Reader back, they are also adding Tyler Shelvin in the 4th round of the draft. They signed Larry Ogunjobi in free agency, and they traded they traded to the Giants for BJ Hill in that trade that got rid of Billy Price. And all of those guys are quality enough to start. And Mike Daniels last year, when he was playing, he was okay. And, but a lot of the year he wasn't playing because of, various injuries that kind of piled up. So it just kind of seemed that Mike Daniels was kind of like the odd man out here, didn't really seem to kind of fit on this roster anymore. But he is still a very talented player. So I always kind of wondered if he would, prefer to stay in Cincinnati instead of like trying to take a shot on another team. Because we're talking about a guy who's in his 10th season right now in the NFL. He's already made $50 million in his career, over $50 million. I don't actually know what the exact number is, but I know it's around $50 million. And we know he loves it in Cincinnati. He talks about it all the time. We know, he's somebody who the fans love. He just kind of loves being part of this, Bengals atmosphere, which is, something that you don't get a whole lot. So I was just, I was wondering, I was thinking about I wonder if Mike Daniels would be the kind of guy who, now that practice squad is open to veterans, I wonder if he'd just be willing, because he's already made a ton of money in his NFL career so far. I wonder if he'd just be willing to come back and take a practice squad spot instead of trying to be majorly competitive on another team roster. That way he doesn't have to move. He gets to basically wind his career down while still making $14,000 a week. By the way, that's what practice squad players get. Veteran practice squad players get paid.
$14,000 a week.
$14,000 a week. Yeah,
perspective.
And to practice, you don't even have to go to games on Sunday.
We're talking about practice.
We are talking about practice. He's getting paid $14,000. Yes, Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice. He's getting paid $14,000 a week to do that. So I have a feeling he's probably cool with kind of winding his career down by just kind of taking up space on the Bengals practice squad and providing a available body to play the position if something were to happen injury-wise, which typically injuries do happen. So it's nice to have. It's nice for the Bengals to have. Oh my God, this mug stays really cold. I like this mug. I'm putting my hand around it right now. That is freezing. I like that. That's going to keep my beer nice and cold.
Well, I'm looking at an interview of him on Good Morning Football where he says Bengals fans they're the best fans. But, I'm going to go ahead and say that if there's I don't know, man, if you're 32, you're playing NFL. How many years playing NFL so far?
This is his 10th season.
Yeah, so you played 10 years in the NFL. I'm either doing one or two things. I'm either, if I get cut by a team like the Bengals, I'm either going to see if I can find a roster spot, a back end roster spot on one of the better teams in the league, or just a roster spot at all instead of practice squad spot. If I can't find a spot on the roster and all I get is practice squad offers, I'll probably think about retiring.
Well, you see, it kind of reminds me of
that's a big ask to ask him to take a just go on the practice squad at that part of his career. That's a big ask.
So when I've in a lot of different jobs that I've worked in my life, it seems like when guys stay at jobs for a long time and then they get to the point where they're ready to retire, sometimes they'll take like kind of an on-call position, which means they don't really have to like do a traditional work schedule where they like go into work and do their normal thing, but they're kind of like those guys that like if they're needed they kind of get paid this smaller amount of money. Unless you actually go and do work, then you go get paid a decent amount. But they take basically these on-call positions so that they can just kind of like relax and kind of get their retirement started, but still have the kind of source of income coming in to help them supplement what they're doing. And that's kind of what I'm wondering about Mike Daniels. I mean, like, he is 32. Who knows how much longer he's planning on playing? He's already made $50 million in his career. I feel like he's not exactly hurting for money. He seems like a pretty smart guy, so I imagine he's probably, doesn't need to, go try to make a shit ton of money to try to, live off for the rest of his life. He's probably just thinking, I mean, as intensive of a job as being on the practice squad can be for like a normal human being, for I'm assuming a professional football player, it wouldn't be as intensive as being on a roster. And so I could definitely see Mike Daniels just kind of having that mentality of just kind of wanting to wind down his career by taking a again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that being on an NFL practice squad is easy, but compared to being on an NFL active roster for a veteran who's played 10 years in the league, I can see that being an easier kind of alternative, that he can just, like I said, make $14,000 a week and basically just exist as somebody who can come in and spot start for the Bengals if need be, especially in a COVID year from the Bengals perspective. But either way, like I said, I think I see that being a really attractive option for Mike Daniels, who, like I said, loves Cincinnati, and like you said, loves Cincinnati fans. I mean, it's basically, he's going to get a free ticket to the games. I mean, like it seems like Mike Daniels got it made right now for real.
Yeah, no, if I was him, I'd retire. Definitely retire. Definitely just take that retirement check. Just sit back, relax, just. Dude, that's a big ass, man. That's a big ass. Even though it's just freaking training camp, that what I mean? Like, how much work it just goes to just putting your body in shape and everything. And like Joe Thomas didn't. Yeah, a lot of people enjoy it, but like, after doing it for 10 years and doing it all through high school, middle school too. Retirement is probably just there. He probably has a good amount, unless you don't have enough saved up. It's your money, your prerogative. I ain't gonna tell you not to go make money. I ain't gonna tell you should make as much money as you can while you have the chance, because obviously you never gonna have the chance again. But you know what I mean? Like, if I was him, like I said, I got cut by the Bengals, and like the practice squad was there, I would either do one or two things. I would either see if I could find a spot on another team, or I just go ahead and start thinking about retirement. And there's plenty of stuff you can do in retirement. You can broadcast. A lot of retired football players going to broadcast.
And that's one thing
you probably get told that every day.
Well, him specifically, I could totally see him broadcasting. But again,
you probably get told that every single day.
Maybe he still enjoys, the grind of being an NFL football player. But he's clearly not the same Mike Daniels who went to the Pro Bowl. He's not the same Mike Daniels that the Packers paid $40 million to. So I think it's safe to say that perhaps he still enjoys the grind of the NFL. Because honestly, to be in the NFL, you kind of have to enjoy the grind. So maybe he still enjoys the grind to an extent, and he's just willing to, be there. I mean, obviously, this is what he's doing.
I think it was gonna. I mean, like, like I said, he could go into broadcasting. When you have player NFL Pro Bowler on your resume, you can find a job in ESPN pretty. I don't want to say easily, but probably could find a job with ESPN or NFL Network.
Kind of wish we could have gotten Geno Atkins on the practice squad.
Or Fox Sports 1, they just hire anybody now.
Yeah, I think Mike Daniels just likes being around everything. Honestly.
Hey, man, maybe he might come back and work for the Bengals. Who knows?
It'd be interesting if he went into coaching.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't see him doing the practice squad thing. I think he's either going to retire or go to another team.
Well, Thomas, he is on the practice squad. That's what I was saying.
I mean, but like, I don't know. If I was him, I would just retire.
Oh, that's fair enough. But like I said, I think maybe he just enjoys it. I mean,
yeah, maybe he does just enjoy it. He did. Like I said, I am looking at this quote right here, him on Good Morning Football, where he talks about his love for the Bengals fans in the city of Cincinnati and how they treated him. He also likes anime, for whatever that's worth.
Okay.
Get his little Dragon Ball Z action. What other kind of animes I could think of? One Piece was selling some ships, punching people with. Where are those?
Those are the Dragon Balls.
I'm wondering why you were getting up for just no reason.
I got those for my birthday back in like 2011, I want to say, something like that. I've had them ever since.
See, the problem is, Cal,
What?
is that you still have all the Dragon Balls, which means you never made your wish. What you saving your wish for, dude?
I did make my wish. No dragon showed up, man. I don't know. I could be wrong about this, but I think it might be a fictional show.
No, the problem is that you haven't said the right phrase.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, you got to figure out what the phrase is to summon the dragon. Once you figure out the right phrase to summon the dragon,
well, I used the phrase in the show. I mean, maybe it's just a different set of Dragon Balls. They have like 4 or 5 different sets in the show.
How can the Dragon Balls be the same Dragon Balls from the show when they're on the show currently?
Well, those are reruns. So,
right, a different set of balls.
That's what she said. Anyway, I think let's get into what we kind of said we were going to talk about, at least as far as the Bengals is considered. Let's talk about their. What do you think their record's going to be, Thomas? Looking at their schedule.
Oh, the Bengals?
Yeah.
I think what I say I think in the regular I think originally like around 10 or 7, something like that. I'm still going. By the way, let me just add that I took a couple of Bengals players on during my fantasy draft. I took the kicker. I took I'm blanking. Jamar Chase. Yeah, I don't know why I blanked on his name.
Okay, so
but yeah,
Evan McPherson is a great pick. Like in the very last pick of your fantasy draft, because you got to pick a kicker.
He's a great pick. Nobody expected
because nobody's thinking about Evan McPherson. So he's a really good pick.
Him.
And Jamar Chase is a really good pick too, because
I got him. He's my third pick.
Everybody overreacted. You got Jamar Chase with your third pick.
Like I got him at my third to last pick, like at the back end of the draft.
Third to last. No, that's really good. Yeah.
Shit.
So Jamar Chase's fantasy value has been dropping because he was dropping passes in the regular season or in the preseason, and everybody was freaking out about that and overreacting, I think. But I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, you can get Jamar Chase for super cheap in fantasy drafts right now. And so taking him that late, it's like you're not really taking much of a risk on a guy who absolutely can have a huge rookie season if he develops that chemistry with Joe Burrow. Like, can you imagine what Jamar Chase's ceiling is this year in fantasy? Like, I mean, obviously there's some worry about the drops and if he doesn't fix the drops, but it's Jamar Chase. He's going to fix the drops. And if he gets going this season, he's going to be an insane fantasy option. So,
I
all of y'all who are avoiding him in the draft, you're making a mistake. Trust me.
think the Bengals win 11 games this year. 10 or 11 games. I'm going back and forth with it. So I'm sitting here looking at the schedule right now.
Okay.
So they're gonna beat the Vikings. They're gonna win week one. I think they'll come out. You're gonna come out and punch the Vikings in the face. I actually think y'all gonna lose to the Bears.
They're gonna lose to the Bears.
It's Phil starting week one.
Week one, Andy Dalton's starting. I think by week two, Justin Fields might be starting.
Okay, you know what though? See, like that's the thing though. So like I see if Andy Dalton's starting week two, I think I'll probably even still the Bears got a good defense. I'm
but they got a trash offensive line.
Man, I think Fields is gonna be good. Man. So I don't know. I think so you got the Vikings, the Bears, and the Steelers. I don't think y'all going 3-0 those first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think y'all lose one of those games. Y'all gonna fall one of those games. I think y'all gonna lose one of those opponents. I mean, I think going through some season 3-0 is really hard to do. They can do that. Now it's not outside around possibility, but I think likelihood they'll probably start off 2-1. Y'all got the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday night game at home. Yeah, they're gonna beat Jacksonville. The Packers, I don't think y'all gonna beat the Packers. I think they're gonna be very competitive against Packers, but I just think the Packers is gonna be on another level this year. But I do think y'all,
especially with Aaron Rodgers being back,
not that early in the season. I think y'all not that early in the season. I think y'all can't beat an opponent like the Packers. I do think y'all can beat the Steelers. I think y'all can beat the Steelers because divisional opponent, all that stuff. But I think later in the season, y'all might surprise the team. The Lions are going to beat the Ravens early in the season. That's a toss-up for me. I'm probably leaning towards Baltimore just because. I think y'all going to beat the Jets. I think you're going to beat the Browns the first meeting. I think you're going to beat the Raiders. I think you're going to sweep the Steelers. The Chargers, I think that's going to be a really good game that can go either way. And the 49ers. I think y'all are either going to lose to either the 49ers or the Chargers. I'm looking at both of those games. I think y'all going to lose to one of those two of those opponents. The Broncos, y'all going to beat the Ravens. I think y'all going to lose one against the Ravens and win one against the Ravens. I think that y'all could upset the Chiefs this year because I act, on the low. With you, I do not think the Chiefs are as good as they've been in past years for multiple reasons. I think the offense is going to be a little bit more vulnerable this year. I know that sounds crazy. So there's a good chance I might upset the Chiefs late in the season. And then I have y'all split in games with the Browns. So I think I'll probably be around that 10-11 win mark.
Okay. Yeah, that is certainly an opinion. I
really do think that y'all could. I mean, like the schedule really isn't that hard when you look at it for real. But then again, it's the AFC is very competitive. So the AFC is the haves and have-nots. But I really do think that Joe Burrow is gonna. I think you're gonna win that first game. I think the Bears are might trip y'all up a little bit because the Bears, I think the Bears are a lot better than the Bears. The Bears are sneaky good. Like even while they did make playoffs last year, like this isn't anything to say. The Bears are a sneaky good team. Like they could be good one Sunday and they could be bad next Sunday, but they're competitive. You can't. It's not a team that you can just sleep on and go like, oh yeah, the Bears win. That's a sneaky good team. But I do think probably I'm betting that y'all probably beat the Steelers. But I think that if y'all lose to the Bears, y'all more likely to beat the Steelers. I think that the Bears might be a trial and error game for y'all. But I do think y'all got that Steelers game. So I think 2-1 to start the season. Then the Jaguars is going to be a W. So that'd be 3-1, and then y'all probably lose to the Packers. But then after that loss to the Packers, I think y'all just going to just take off. Like the Lions. I think y'all could upset the Ravens, but I think Lamar Jackson might get y'all early in the season. I think Lamar is going to have a good start of the season, and as the season progresses, you're going to start to see him come down to earth. The Jets, but even still, without J.K. Dobbins, the Ravens don't really scare me that much either. I think y'all going to steal one or two from the Browns. I think y'all going to split one. I think y'all going to split with the Browns, split with the Ravens, and sweep the Steelers. That's what I got for the division stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I actually did also had the Bengals splitting with the Ravens and Browns and sweeping the Steelers, but I think I had different games that they beat the both the Ravens and the Browns. So I've got wins. Let's see, as far as this schedule goes, winning week 1 against the Vikings at home. I got them beating the Bears in Chicago.
Okay.
I got them beating the Steelers both of those are in Pittsburgh. I got them beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I got them beating the Jaguars in Jacksonville. So yes, I got them starting 4-0. Kind of crazy, but I do think it's possible, partially because I don't think that schedule for the first 4 games is too difficult. Then probably not going to beat the Green Bay Packers because that's going to be a mid-season form for Aaron Rodgers. No, thank you. I'm not gonna make that mistake. I see them beating the Lions in Detroit. I see them losing to the Ravens in Baltimore, beating the Jets in New York. Well, New Jersey, I guess. Losing to the Browns right before the bye week. In Cincinnati. I think they're gonna lose that one. Beating the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. Now that one's a bit of a wild card because the Bengals kind of tend to struggle when they go to the West Coast. But I do think that the Bengals are just generally a better team than the Raiders right now. And if they can sustain looking that good by the midway point of the season, then I think they have a really good chance of beating the Raiders. I think they're going to complete the sweep at home against the Steelers in Week 12. I think they're going to beat the Los Angeles Chargers in Cincinnati. I do think they're going to lose to the 49ers, but I think they're going to come back next week and beat the Broncos in Denver. I think they're going to get their one win against the Ravens in Week 16. But that one's also going to be in Cincinnati, which is part of why I think the Bengals are going to win that game. I think they're going to lose to the Chiefs in Week 17 because the Chiefs. And then I have them beating the Browns in the final game of the year. And that one's actually in Cleveland. So I think you guys are going to beat us in Cincinnati, and we're going to beat you guys in Cleveland.
All right.
Split that way.
Look, man. I'm about to go to both the Browns versus Bengals games for sure.
Well, I'm definitely going to one of them.
I'm definitely going to go to both of them. But, by the way, all right, so let me see. I'm definitely going to both.
Well, the one that I'm not sure about is going up to Cleveland in January. The problem is
second one, because the Browns probably resting their players by then. I really think the Browns are going to be that good this year.
I might see if I can come up to Cleveland in January and see the Bengals up there.
It matters, man, because that game might be the game for the division.
Well, I don't think that's going to be the case because we'll talk about this in a little bit, but I think the Browns are going to significantly outperform the Bengals this year. I do have this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
I think the Bengals are going to be good this year. I think the Bengals are going to be really freaking good this year. Because,
I don't think the Bengals are going to be that. Let's see. Minnesota, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville.
I got to win in.
Jets, Raiders, Steelers, Chargers, Broncos.
All right, I'm sticking with my original prediction.
Did I just predict 12 wins? That can't be right.
I mean, hey, man, look, they might do it.
Vikings, Bears,
I'm not going to front,
Steelers,
man.
Vikings, Bears, Steelers, Jaguars, Lions, Jets, Raiders, Steelers again, Chargers, Broncos, Ravens, Browns. Yeah, I just predicted 12 wins. Okay. So I just went through the schedule. I can't take back what I said, but I am going to say my realistic window for this team, I think it's between 9 and 10 wins. I guess my main question here is can they really sweep the Steelers? Even then, I would still have them at 11 wins, which is probably a little crazy. But even though I think the Steelers are going to be bad this year, I do think it's the Steelers. Games between the Bengals and the Steelers are always, they always go hard no matter how either team is doing. So I'm not sure whether the floor for this team. I'm not exactly sure what the floor is for the Bengals because I think if things don't go well this year, it could be really bad. Like, all those national media people who are doubting the Bengals right now, they could be totally, if the Bengals get off to a bad start and the bottom falls out, this could be a really bad team. If it just happens to not work again, then the floor is as far down as you want to make it. I don't think they're going to go 0-17 or anything like that, but I think if things go poorly again this year and it turns out that Zach Taylor is just a really bad coach, then, we're going to be seeing, 5 wins, 6 wins, at most maybe 7 wins. I
don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think 12 wins. I said 12 wins here when I looked through it. I don't think that's realistic. But I'm gonna say 9 to 10 wins is more of a realistic expectation for the Bengals. I don't see them competing for the division in genuineness, but I do see them potentially competing for a wild card spot.
I'm sticking with 10, and a possible 11. And in the AFC, you needed 11 games to make. You need 11 wins and a 16-game schedule to make the playoffs last year. So, like, the AFC is still just as competitive. It probably won't be just as competitive this year as it was last year. We're close to it. So,
see, the thing about the AFC is it was competitive at the top. But here's the reason why. Like,
it wasn't competitive because the bottom was trash.
Well, right. I've heard a lot of people saying it's going to take 11 wins to make the wild card again this year. And
I don't think so.
I'm not so sure if I believe that, because I think the bottom of the AFC is going to be a lot better than it was last year. Like, think about the worst teams in the AFC last year. You got you got the Jets, you got the Jaguars, you got the Bengals are up there. The Texans are trash, and they're getting even worse. But as far as those were 3 of the top 4 worst teams in the AFC this last year. All 3 of which I think are going to be better this year. Now, do I think the Jaguars are going to be competing for the playoffs? No. Do I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs? No. But I think all 3 of those teams are going to be better than they were last year. So like the AFC, I don't think you're going to see the AFC with like just these juggernaut teams that are winning like everybody who is good in the AFC is going to have like 11, 12 wins, and you can't make the playoffs without 11 wins, because I think the teams at the bottom of the conference are going to be better. And because of that, you're going to have lower records, but more competition.
Possibly. But it's just the fact that there's just that extra game.
Well, yeah.
Brings the extra game just mean I'm with you though, because you got teams like the Chargers who are going to be better this year. Yeah, people like the Bengals, who I say on this podcast multiple times is going to be better this year. But with that said, I still, no matter what, can we just both personally? I don't care what nobody say. I think the AFC is just a better all around than the NFC. I think the NFC got a lot of duds.
Well, right now, yeah.
I think the AFC, I don't think, like, I'm not saying historically, it fluctuates. Like, probably like 3 years, you go back 3 years from now, you go like, the NFC is so much better than the AFC. It wasn't close. But like, the AFC was just the Patriots and everybody else. The NFC had all these ballers. But like, currently though, it seems like there are the AFC, some of these powerhouses on it. Like, the Bills are a phenomenal team. The Browns, they have a lot of talent on that team. And people, of course, have opinions about them because of the Browns. It's still the Browns. They still have all this talent on this team. Ravens, even though we make fun of them, we're going to get to them in a minute. They're always competitive. They're not a powerhouse, but they're still a really good team. You got the Titans, who are a really good team, who's a really good team. And then you got teams that are always going to be competitive, like the Colts. The Colts, they still have a good defense, even though they're having quarterback problems like crazy. Good luck for them. Carson Wentz is trash. Got to say that. But and then you got teams like the Chargers who are on up and up, man. And you got teams like the Raiders who are always 500. So, the AFC is a very competitive. It's a very competitive conference. I think it's more competitive than the NFC. But with that said, I still believe the Bengals should be able to get into the top half of the AFC, talent-wise. The only thing that concerns me about the Bengals is not the offensive line. It's not the kicker. It's not whether or not Jamar Chase is going to perform or not. My biggest concern for the Bengals is if that defense comes together or not. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think the Bengals offense is going to be fine. I know you guys invested a lot on defense, but I have that same concern with the Browns too. Because the reality is that, you know how people make an argument, oh, it doesn't fit, it might not fit on paper, it might work on paper, but it might not work in real life. Well, you say that about defense. You would definitely say that about defense because sometimes on defense, you bring in these players who are superstars other places and come into your place, and it just, I got that for any position. But there are so many. The Bengals defense wasn't the best last year. I mean, it wasn't the worst. I mean, you might have argued that the Bengals defense might have been slightly better than the Browns last year. The Browns defense wasn't that good either last year.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, there were points where the Bengals defense did well, but I'd say on the whole, the Bengals had a pretty the Bengals defense is a big reason why a lot of people don't believe in them this year.
Yeah, it concerns me. It's a concern. I think the offense is going to be fine. I know you guys brought in these cornerbacks. I know you guys did a lot for depth. I don't know. That's the only thing that concerns me about the Bengals. That's it. But if they're decent, if the Bengals defense is just like respectable, like middle of the pack, like 14th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, or even 17th in the league, then the Bengals will be a 10-win team. If y'all just have an average defense, y'all be a 10-win team. That's how much I believe in your offense. That's how much I believe in the Bengals offense.
It reminds. I've said this before on the podcast, but it's like I think this defense can be kind of like the defense we had in 2005, which wasn't particularly stout. Didn't stop everybody all the time, but it did know how to capitalize on mistakes made by the other team. It forced turnovers. It did a lot of things that really just disrupted what the other team was doing, and it really complemented the fact that offense was so high flying. And they really kind of did the same thing in 2015. So, I've mentioned it on this. Another thing I've mentioned on this podcast before was the fact that I think the Bengals seem to have fixed all of the problems that majorly held them back last year. Specifically, that's the kicking. Evan McPherson. That's the offensive line. We replaced Jim Turner and Bobby Hart. That alone is going to massively increase how good this offensive line can be. And then on top of that, you've got Jackson Carman bringing in to shore up the offensive or the offensive line interior. You got Xavier Suafilo and Quentin Spain with full offseason to integrate into the interior position. Trey Hopkins is back. Mm-hmm. And then you got Jonah Williams, you got Riley Leaf. On paper, this should be a pretty good offensive line, but even if they don't hit that level, they should be way better than they were last year, just because you have Jim Turner and Bobby Hart. And what's his name? Alex Redmond, too. That was a big problem. The interior depth was a huge problem, and all of that stuff has been fixed. Now, are they going to keep Joe Burrow from any pressure around him at all times forever? I don't think that's realistic, but I think they could be a lot better. And then the third one was the pass rush. We brought in Trey Hendrickson. He seems to be doing good things. Joseph Osai unfortunately got hurt, but you got a lot of players who can rush the passer. You've got Larry Ogunjobi being brought in to help with the problems we had at 3-tech last year. There's going to be so many more guys who can just create disruptions that you just didn't have last year. So I don't see any reason to not think that the Bengals could be a really
average defense.
I think, like I said, I think the floor for this team is it just doesn't work and everything falls apart. But I think if things are working, the floor for this team is no less than 8 wins.
Man, y'all gonna love Ogunjobi. I'm with you on the floor being 8 wins. I do think that, but I really do think that this team, it just comes back to what I do think the Bengals defense is going to be a decent defense. I'm not disputing that. I think that. I just think that's my only concern. If there was to be anything to go wrong, I think it would be the defense. But I think the Bengals defense is going to be fine. But with that said, that's why I'm saying the Bengals are going to go 10-7 or 11-6. That's why I'm people saying that, because like Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, it's not going to be. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. That kid's vision is insane. They're only going to improve. Like, I watched him play. I've seen him play live. I was thoroughly impressed by that man. Like, I was very impressed by his ability to just get that ball out quick, fast, and know exactly where it's going. That's it. We're going to win 10, 11 games this year. Y'all defense is going to be fine. Jamar Chase is going to have a hell of a season. T. Higgins, keep in mind, T. Higgins was just a rookie last year. The Bengals will be fine next year.
Yeah. I think the Bengals will be fine. I don't know if I quite believe that they're going to win 11 games, but obviously, like when I just looked through the schedule, I picked out 12 wins. I don't think that's going to happen. But if I'm sitting here saying those are 12 winnable games that I realistically think the Bengals could win, then realistically 10 wins is, like a pretty average thought. But like if I'm saying they're going to win, like even if things go badly, they're going to win at least 8 games. And when I look at the schedule and I'm saying that I see 12 wins here, then the realistic average between those is 10 wins. So I don't see why they can't win 10 games this year.
I want to stick with 10. I'm sticking with 10 too.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with 10.
So you mentioned earlier, you were talking about defenses and getting such a big boost from like really talented guys who are really talented auditions in the offseason. So how about this is a bit of a tangent, but we should probably start talking about the Browns a little bit. How about Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? Man, that guy has been a godsend in Cleveland. Like, I mean, you want to talk about reasons why the Browns defense should be better this year? Well, there's one example. I know you lost Jacob Phillips, but you gained Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
This kid is going to be special. And the thing is that the league is made for him. Like, he's literally the evolution.
He seems like he's everything that the Cardinals and also me were expecting Isaiah Simmons to be when he got picked in like the top like 4 or 5 picks.
Well, it's the same. So, all right. So, like, I just feel like what's going to happen is he's going to be the perfect answer to quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray. He's going to be the perfect answer to quarterbacks like that. Or Justin Fields, who we see in week 3. Man, this kid is fast, smart, and just a wrecking ball out there. I am so excited about him. They are raving. The beat writers are raving about this guy. The beat writers are raving about this guy. The coaches really like him. And they talk about his work ethic, his skill, his speed. This kid is special, man. This kid is very special. And I'm just really excited to see, we talk about bigger roles and what they can do for us, how they can improve our defense going to next season. Mm-hmm. I think that JOK is going to be probably one of the biggest additions. And that's including Janavion Clown. That's including Troy Hill and John Johnson. Like, I think he's going to be one of the biggest additions. Like, I think he's going to be one of the biggest centerpieces. And they got some big.
Well, I do think if the Browns can, if Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah does what I think he's going to do and really helps that Browns defense come together and really gel, this is a scary looking team. About the only thing that might just be a big, giant, glaring, like, what the hell are you guys doing kind of part of your roster is kicker. So you want to tell me what the hell's going on here? Like, I mean, we talked about it in the last episode. Like, Chase McLaughlin ended up winning that job by default, and he looks bad too. So what's up with kicker?
I think realistically, what are you going to do?
Should have got Austin Seibert, man. He was right there. You could have traded for him, but the Lions snatched him up.
No, you didn't trade for him, and ours. He didn't trade for a kicker. You know what I mean? You never fire a general manager for not trading for a kicker, but
no, but I'm just saying he was right there.
You should have traded for a kicker though, and now our kicker is playing for the Lions. So I'm not even sure if Austin Seibert was too keen on coming back to the Browns, so they cut him anyway. So yeah, it's not good.
So allegedly though. Looks like okay. So this was practice is not in a game situation, and it doesn't actually show you what he's gonna do in a game situation, like with the pressure on and everything like that. But it looks like he made a 71-yard field goal in practice.
Yeah, Mary Kay Capman said there's nothing to worry about.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's nothing to worry about, but I mean, I think maybe the reactions that the Browns kicking situation is doomed because he struggled a little bit in the preseason, and that might be a little overblown because there was one point in the when this kicking competition first started off, we were talking about if he could beat Cody Parkey for the job straight up, without an injury. So I mean, I don't think he's bad or anything. I do think Austin Seibert might have been more reliable for you, but just let him go to the Lions. Could have had him. Oh well.
I'm pretty concerned. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty concerned.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world or anything. He could be a good kicker, and I mean, it's not. I don't know. There are other kickers out there too. I mean, I think Randy Bullock's available. Now, wouldn't that be something? So, what do you think for the Browns' record this year, Thomas?
You know what? Pencil me in for the Browns. Pencil me in for the Browns. Am I crazy for thinking it? I think the Browns will possibly win 13 out of 17 games. Because, let me just...
I wouldn't call that crazy.
Before we get to predictions, I know it's not prediction day, but I think they're going to win that first game. They're going to win that first game. The more, as we close into the first game, they're going to win that first game.
No.
I think Baker Mayfield is going to have... I think Baker Mayfield is about to take a huge step forward this year. That's really what I'm riding on.
I can agree with that, but it's going to take more than just Baker Mayfield taking a step forward away immediately to beat the Chiefs.
The thing the Browns need is for the defense to take a step forward. But just looking at the schedule, I haven't beaten the Chiefs, I haven't beaten Texans, I haven't beaten the Bears. I think that Bears game is going to be a dogfight, though. But I think I haven't beaten the Bears. I got dog pound tickets for that game. Can't wait for that game. Beating the Vikings. I think they might go and lose one of these games to either the Chargers, the Cardinals, or the Broncos, or Steelers, or So one of those 5 games, they might lose one. I think they might even triple against the Bengals. I talked about that. I think they're going to get swept by the Bengals, but I think they're going to split with the Bengals. Actually, you know what, though? I think they're going to beat the Steelers, so I think they might trip up against either the Chargers or the Cardinals or the Vikings. But, I mean, that alone, I have them start off the season 7-1, 8-1. I have them. I think they're going to split with the Ravens. So that's 2 losses.
I find it interesting how you guys are kind of more or less playing the Ravens back to back. You get a bye week in between, but it's just Ravens, and then your next opponent is the Ravens.
Yeah, it's a Monday night. It's a Monday night, then a bye.
I feel like that's prime positioning for that to be splitting no matter what you do, because whoever loses that game is going to have a blueprint for how to beat them next week.
They're gonna lose. Well, they're between 2 weeks. There's a bye week between them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, okay, so in 2 weeks then.
But I think they're gonna lose the first week, and then they're gonna win the second week.
Okay.
I don't know. It's really hard to win going to a bye, man. That's tough. That's gonna be good back-to-back games. The Raiders, the Packers, Steelers, and the Bengals. The last 4 games of the season. That Packers game is gonna be a dogfight. I think they get against the Raiders. The Bengals, I think they're gonna be resting their players, so I think they're gonna lose that game. Sweeping the Steelers is gonna be tough, even though I don't think the Steelers are gonna be really good this year. I think sweeping the Steelers is still gonna be a tough thing to do. A very tall task. This game's gonna be on Monday night too, or that's Sunday night. That's Sunday night or Monday night. That is, it's a Monday night game against Steelers. All right, so yeah, Sunday night against the Ravens, Monday night against Steelers. Anyway, I don't know. I think they might. I think they're gonna split with Steelers realistically, split with the Bengals, and split with the Ravens, and then probably lose to either the Packers or the Chiefs, or possibly both. So which means that realistically, I think the Browns will win 12 or 13 games this year.
Okay. So my thought process is
going to be a lot better team than last year. So they might even lose drop. But actually, you know what though? I think they're going to probably sweep one of these teams in the division. I don't know which one it will be. I don't think it's going to be the Bengals. I think it'll probably be the Steelers if there's anyone. Probably make the most sense.
Right. So my thought process on the Browns is I think 13 is the ceiling. I think if everything goes perfectly right, 13 is where the Browns are going to be at. I think if it turns out that the progress last year, turns out Kevin Stefanski's a hoax, he's a charlatan, and the Browns just aren't the team that everybody like. I mean, they do this thing where the Browns get all the hype, and then and then turn out to not be worth the hype again. Then I think the floor for the Browns is 8 wins. So now, do I think they're going to win only 8 games? No, I don't think that's the case. I'm just saying if everything goes poorly, I think that's what would happen is the Browns would be likely to win probably no fewer than 8 games, I guess is what I'm saying. So between about 8 and 13, more likely closer to 13 than 8, but I think that's the window that the Browns are looking at right now. Now, realistically, I'm seeing about 11 wins for the Browns. So I'm seeing I don't think they're going to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
I just don't. I don't see that in any way, shape, or form. I think, not only are the Kansas City Chiefs a really good team that beat the Browns in the playoffs last year, the Browns are improved, but the Chiefs are also improved, and it's in Kansas City. I mean, and it's week 1. So it's not going to happen, Thomas. I see you smirking, but it's not going to happen. Book that one. But I do think they'll beat the Texans because they're the Texans. I do think they'll beat the Bears in Cleveland. They're hosting both the Texans and the Bears. I think they're going to win both those home games. I do think they're going to go into Minnesota and beat the Vikings. I think they're going to go into Los Angeles and beat the Chargers. And I think they're going to beat the Cardinals. I think they're going to beat the Broncos. So right there, I've got them starting 0-1. I got them starting 0-1, but after that, I got them winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. So after starting 0-1 against the Chiefs, they're going to go and win 6 games in a row and be 6-1, heading into the Pittsburgh Steelers game, where I think they will lose in Cleveland.
I think they're going to lose to the Packers. I hope they lose to the Packers, so when we see the Packers in the Super Bowl, beat them in the Super Bowl.
I think week 9, I see them beating the Bengals, as I said before. And that's going to be in Cincinnati, and the Bengals aren't going to be able to get it done, I don't think. You got the Patriots in Foxborough, week 10. I don't think the Browns are going to take that one either. Then they're going to, turn it back around and beat Detroit in Cleveland. Then they're going to play the Ravens, and they're going to win in Baltimore, but I think they're going to lose after the bye week in Cleveland. Because like I said, I think whoever loses that game in week 12 between the Browns and the Ravens, I think is probably going to have a blueprint for how to beat the team the following week. So I don't think either the Browns or the Ravens have really any chance of winning both of those games. I think whoever loses is probably going to get a blueprint, and that's pretty much just how that's going to go. And then they're going to last 4 games. They're hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. I do think they'll win that game.
Right.
Then they're going to Green Bay. I don't see them winning that game.
Right.
I got them beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh, which will, just be glorious. Unfortunately, not a sweep, but I do have them beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. And then, as I said before, I have them losing to the Bengals in the final game of the year. And actually, we kind of agree on this one. You said earlier that you thought that this game could be a game for the division title. I don't think that the Bengals will be in the running for the division title when this game happens. So that's part of the reason I thought the Bengals would win this game, because I think the Browns will be resting some of their starters for the playoffs. And I think that will be kind of, more or less a free win for the Bengals. I do think that game in Cincinnati in Week 9 is going to be really exciting and really fun and really competitive. And so I'm not saying the Bengals can't win that game. I'm saying I don't think they'll win that game. And then Week 18 is going to be kind of a farce of a game, because I think the Bengals will be playing all their players, because I think there might be a chance they can get in the playoffs and they'll need to play all their starters. The Browns, however, will not be playing their starters.
Well, they're going to beat the Bengals making the playoffs this year. Definitely had the Bengals making the playoffs this year. I'm all in on the Bengals making the playoffs this year. That's why I drafted our kicker in Jamar Chase.
I don't know what that has to do with them making the playoffs, but fair enough.
Well, because all right, so my thinking is, I think Jamar Chase is going to be everything of advertised, even though he's not really advertising very well.
Well, no, not right now, but he will eventually.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the kid's a baller, man. He's a baller. As soon as he getting the groove of things, it's over.
Yeah.
As soon as he getting the groove of things, though, he's got to get in the groove, but he will get the groove. Let's groove tonight.
Right. So what we got right now is I think the Browns are going to finish 11-6. You think the Browns are going to finish? What'd you say, 13-4?
Yeah, that's what I said originally, but I'm just going to scale it back a game just take off one game.
12-5. Okay, that's fair. And then for the Bengals, you had the Bengals finishing 11-6. I think my final prediction was 10-7. I think.
Oh no! I say I'm going to stick with 10-7. Give me 10 games.
Okay, so we're both predicting the Bengals to finish 10-7, and we're not too far off with the Browns. We're one game different on the Browns.
But honestly, dude, all I did was just give the Browns one more win than they had last year.
Yeah,
and more games played this year.
That is true. That is true. I do think that I do think that the schedule is going to be maybe a little more difficult this year than it was last year, though.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you got to remember the Browns are playing a different set of teams this year than they were last year.
It's true, but I mean, maybe.
Look. I want to make it clear. I do think that 12 wins is absolutely possible. I definitely think that's realistic. I think 13-4 is totally reasonable too. Now, I think that's the cap. I don't think they're going to win 14, 15, 16, 17 games.
All I'm saying is that they won 11-5 last year. You add another game to the season, and say they just win an extra game this season opposed to last year. Then, or say that's just one more win than last year. That's all it is. And you get an extra game.
I mean, yeah, but last year they were like up until the playoffs happened. The Browns were kind of like sputtering a little bit near the end of the season.
But they got better.
And then they came out like firing in the playoffs, and that was great. But at the end of the regular season, they were definitely sputtering a little bit.
Yeah, but I think they'd be fine. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to recoach. Now you're in the second year of the system. But they went way out. They went 11-5 with a rookie coach, what I should say. And
yeah, that is fair.
The second season, and he's going to do better this year. He's going to improve. They're all going to improve.
That's fair. All right. So let's go ahead and then move on to the state of the AFC North, because I definitely have some storylines here that I think are worth talking about. In particular, we led at the beginning of the episode, the intro, with talking about the Steelers have another contract holdout that they have to deal with. This time coming from T.J. Watt. So for those who are living under a rock, T.J. Watt is the brother of J.J. Watt and might be just as good of a pass rusher as his brother J.J. Watt. T.J. Watt has been absolutely unbelievable. He's been part of the reason that the Steelers have been afloat all this time, despite the fact that they've been having so much drama and, a lot of people not quite playing so well over there in Pittsburgh. But T.J. Watt has been holding down the fort. He wants a new contract. Steelers don't seem to want to give it to him. So he's been holding out from practices and stuff like that. And I imagine they'll probably get the contract done with him. But he ended up not being selected as a team captain. I think that's worth pointing out. And Thomas, do you remember the last time the Steelers were dealing with the contract dispute at this point in the season?
Was it Bell or Brown?
It was Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
I don't believe Antonio Brown was a contract dispute. I think that was a lot of other stuff, but I don't think it was a contract dispute. But Le'Veon Bell, and right now people are actually saying T.J. Watt might be in doubt of actually playing in Week 1, because he hasn't been practicing because he's been holding out. And the Steelers are known for not playing guys who aren't practicing. So, I mean, is it possible that T.J. Watt might miss the first game of the season because he doesn't have a contract yet? It's certainly possible.
Hey, can we just take a moment, just a moment of silence for a minute?
A moment of silence.
All right, there you go. We just took a moment of silence for the Steelers playoff.
I think you did. But, for their playoff hopes. Okay. Yeah, it's just like, regardless of what this means, it's not good to start off your season with like major drama like this. Like I've said time and time again, the Steelers are headed for a collapse season right now. And everybody's like, no, they got Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger, and they're going to be fine. It's the Steelers. Well, guys, every time a team collapses in a ball of flames, it looks like this. So I mean, I know y'all have trouble believing the Steelers could ever do any wrong, but the evidence, come on, like you gotta at least be with me and say that the evidence here is obvious. Like the things are not going well in Pittsburgh, and how important this contract dispute is going to be in 2 or 3 months, I don't know. But right now it looks really bad, and the Steelers haven't exactly done anything that looks good in a while.
All I'm saying is, I hope the Steelers had the worst season that they had in almost 4 years.
Well, yeah, because if you recall, or if you're aware, I guess neither of us are old enough to recall this, but if you're aware, over 50 years ago, like back before the Super Bowl era, the Steelers were basically the laughing stock of the NFL. They were consistently horrible. So maybe, hopefully, they can go back to doing that. That'd be nice. Go away.
Holy water in the 70s.
Do what?
They found holy water in the 70s.
They found something in the 70s. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what it was. Yeah. So before the Super Bowl era started in the 1970s, the Steelers were absolutely god awful. And so, I mean, that's ancient history. It's kind of ridiculous to talk about that as like, a core example of their franchise. All I'm saying is I hope they go back to it.
And I get your wish. You might
Well,
get
I don't know if they'll be that bad for that long. It'd be great if they were. I don't know if they'll be that bad for that long, but I do think it doesn't bode well right now. I do think I think that they'll probably bounce back eventually, but I think it's going to take a bit of a collapse for them to get to that point where they are bouncing back.
Yeah. The Steelers is going to be. The Steelers are going to be worse off than the Cavs were when LeBron left the first time. That was a really bad team.
That was. I don't even really follow basketball that much, and I recall, yeah,
They lost in a row.
and the Steelers basically have already had their collapse happen. Now it's just seeing the fruits of it. Because I mean, like, Ben Roethlisberger's terrible. The offensive line's in a sad state. There's problems going on with the defense now, and that was what everybody was thinking was going to carry the Steelers this season. But if TJ Watt is having contract issues and might miss week 1, I mean, just like, who knows what's going to happen with the defense right now, especially with that secondary that got gutted. Like, I mean, come on, guys. Let's just be realistic right here. I know y'all are thinking that, like, the Steelers can never do any wrong. But, like, I mean, just looking at it from a logical standpoint, if any other team had an offseason like this, you would be immediately, like, burying them and like, writing their obituary already. But because it's the Steelers, nobody wants to do that. Well, I got news for you. The Steelers are just as mortal as any other team in the NFL. And we're seeing it right now.
The Steelers are going to be worse off than the Justice League without Superman or Batman.
I can see that.
This league is pretty damn good. There's a lot of freaking ballers in the Justice League, so they should
no longer in Pittsburgh
without Batman or Superman, because Darkseid is freaking Darkseid. Maybe.
Yeah. So the last little bit of news to talk about as far as the AFC North is considered. The Ravens. We talked, I think, either last week or the week before about how J.K. Dobbins. I think it was last week, because it was the Ravens' final preseason game, and they got their, like, record number of preseason wins, but they ended up losing starting running back J.K. Dobbins for the year.
Now that was preseason records. Not there.
Yeah, for a fucking preseason record, but whatever. This shit happens sometimes. Now, backup running back Justice Hill is out with a torn ACL. So that leaves Gus Edwards, who is, in fairness, he's a pretty good backup for the Ravens, and Tyson Williams, only running backs left in Baltimore right now. And so what do? They brought in 2 running backs for a workout to try to sign one of them. One of them was Devonta Freeman, I think formerly of the Falcons. The other one was, as we talked about on last week's episode, Le'Veon Bell. This is real. He really came in. He's really working out for the Ravens. He really might be signed in Baltimore. And my God, am I crossing my fingers? Please, football gods, put Le'Veon Bell in Baltimore. Can you imagine how much? Like, I mean, even if that's potentially bad for my Bengals. Le'Veon Bell used to bully the Bengals when he was playing in Pittsburgh. But I don't even care. I would love to see him in Baltimore. Let's see that soap opera, please.
He might still have something left in the tank, man. You never know. Give him a chance.
I mean, he might, and I'm not saying that he would be a bad addition for the Ravens. I'm just saying it'd be hilarious to see him playing for the Steelers' arch rival.
Well, he's not that old, is he?
I'm not sure. He's like 28, maybe.
Why not? I mean, hey man, let's see what we get. He might got something left in the tank.
Yeah, so I mean, he's definitely right about at the edge of where running backs typically are past the point of no return. But he might have something left. And I mean, pairing him with Gus Edwards, you could potentially put together a pretty decent attack. And like I said, if that happens, I will be tuning in for both of the Ravens Steelers games I mean, I probably would have anyway, but I'll be really paying close attention to like all. I mean, we will be talking about that like lead up on this podcast constantly. Notably, the other guy, I this is the first time hearing about the Ravens being interested in Devonta Freeman. But like I said last week, we heard rumors about the Ravens potentially being interested in Le'Veon Bell. The other guy who it seemed like the Ravens were maybe a little more interested in was Todd Gurley, but Todd Gurley did not get a workout. So right now it seems like Le'Veon Bell's the front runner.
The Steelers are worse off than a kid a mama's boy who tried to do laundry for the first time. Sorry, I had that one came to me. I had to say it.
That's funny. I like that. So anyway, unless you got anything else, Thomas, I think that's probably going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast.
The Steelers are worse off than New Yorkers without the subway.
That one wasn't as funny as the other one, but that's fair. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. You can always find more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter, at facebook.com/Phelps. Don't forget to check out the writing that I've been doing lately on Around the Block, atbnetwork.com. And I think at ATB_network on Twitter. Or at ATB_Cincinnati on Twitter. I'm writing a lot of articles for them. Right now it's about once a week, but as I kind of get settled into it, I might start doing more. And then you can always find more of what Thomas does at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram. And then he's got a YouTube page called the Thomas J Network. And also don't forget to check out his TikTok, which has been blown up, which is also Thomas J Network. Thomas J Network, which is definitely something that's been building and blowing up lately. So definitely go check all of that out. If you would like to be on an episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast, hit me or Thomas up. We'd or comment down below or something, or if you don't know either of us personally. We love having people on. It's always a good experience, having an extra third person to kind of bounce stuff off of, and really just kind of getting that fan perspective from, that we really love kind of like capturing in these episodes. So, but yeah, anyway, next episode is going to be up on Saturday, and that will be the week 1 preview, as well as the predictions episode that we're going to do. Because those are coming back now that the season is getting started. So look forward to all that stuff, guys. For now, I'll leave y'all with the Who Dey.
Go Browns.